whatever, but that's okay. And we're gonna work on A major because that's what we need for Hector the Hero. Hector the Hero is a full-on A major tune using both octaves. So we have to get good at both octaves of that key, and I think we might as well do that tonight, okay? So what we're going to start off with, first of all, let's play a nice A major scale as best we can, both octaves, starting on the low A, and then we'll do the arpeggio, okay? And we'll do it twice. So the first time is just going to be a go, just having a go at it. The second time is going to be a little bit more mindful, listening and trying to tune, trying to get it all bang on in tune. Okay? Let's do it. Oh, I got to mute everybody. There we go. Alrighty. There's your low A if you need one. Good, okay. Everybody looks happily cheerful about their low A. Here we go. Ready, slow. Okay, now we'll try the arpeggio nice and slow. Ready, go. Okay, now we're going to go a little faster, and you're going to see where you land, and then fix if you need to, okay? Ready, 2, 3, go. Arpeggio! All right, how's everybody feeling about A major? Getting there? Yeah? How did it go when we went faster? What would you put your success rate? Like really good or not so good or kind of middling? Anybody have middling? Yeah? What's that?
75%.
Ooh, that's pretty good, Lena. Jeez. Oh my God. You wouldn't believe how many 75s I've been thrilled to get in my life. Jesus Christ. But that's not too bad. 75 is pretty good. The biggest thing is to try to recognize a tendency. For you, what would you say it is? Flat or sharp?
The first finger is always sharp, and the first finger is always flat, and the third finger is always sharp, and the middle one is usually okay.
Oh, interesting. Now, the middle one is usually the big problem for most people because it's the first one that moves. We use two positions. It's the very first finger that uses two positions. What I suggest to you, though, is with your first finger, reduce the finger pressure. Okay? Because if your first finger keeps coming down in the same place all the time, just let it. See if you could reduce the finger pressure enough that it's going to be in tune on a reliable way. You know what I mean? If it's not, you might have to move your finger a little bit. You might have to. But if you can just reduce it a bit, then you might be bang on the money. And the same with the third finger. If you can increase the pressure on that, you might not have to make a physical move. All right? Anybody else have any feedback about their scale? A major, it's a hard key. All those sharps. No, let's do it one more time. And if something comes to you you want to ask me about, it would be great. Well, I'm going to plug my phone in. Just one sec because I'm using the tuner on my phone. It's about to die. 1 second. And cable. There we go. Okay, whoops. Okay, so we'll try that one more time there, guys, and try to think of any problems you want to ask me about while we're doing it. Okay. Ready, go. Ready, go. All right, mine was brilliant. I was watching the tuner. I was bang on the money the whole time. How about you guys? Anybody doing good? Feeling good? Relatively? Does anybody have anything they want me to help with in terms of A major? Anything at all? No? Just keep grinding away at it? I understand. That's fine. Okay, so I think we should heave right into the old Hector the Hero. We might as well. And we'll learn that, and then when we're all finished the learning, we'll do some. We'll practice those jigs we did last time, and maybe the polkas or whatever. But let's tuck right into the old Hector the Hero here. So first of all, I'll play it a couple of times. I found a good version out of the Skinner book on my friend Paul Cranford's website, and I sent it to you guys. Did everybody get that okay? Everybody get Hector the Hero earlier, and all the... There's a whole load of music I sent. Yeah? Okay, good. So anyway, Let me play it for you so you can get it rolling around your head. I'll do it once more. That's her. That's Hector the Hero. Beautiful old tune.
Sorry.
Yep.
I didn't get the music.
Oh. One sec here. Let me just check and see what's going on there. Okay.
And the second half sounded right, but the first half sounded different than is on my sheet.
That I sent you? That's okay. Let me take a look at that now. So Elaine, oh, I know why. It's the Kajiko email that I use. Sorry, Elaine. Gotta stop doing that. Anybody else not receive it? Oh, Deborah, okay. There we go. Morgan Mom, okay. Okay, you'll get it now.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Now let me take a look at this version. Duh. So, yeah, so the version I sent there, it's out of the Skinner book, and basically the A part is the low octave. That's what's so good about this tune, so why it's so good to practice. So in the very, very first part, the melody is in the low octave. So the pickup note is a low A, and then the C sharp. So C, B, A, F, E, C, E. And then in the second part, you do it up the octave. It's exactly the same thing, except you're playing it in the upper octave. So instead of the low A being a pickup note, it's the middle A. Your A string is going to be the pickup note. See that? It's still C. I can't sing that high. C B A F E C E, except it's up on the A string and E string. Okay, and then the third part there is kind of like the B part of the tune. And when I was playing it when I was a kid, we used to repeat that last part. But that's where you go up to the F, and it's a bit different. Okay. Now, Bill, what does your music say?
My music starts with the second A.
Low A.
No, higher. Not the lowest A, the second A.
Oh, now what music have you got? Is that what I sent you?
Well, that's where I got it. Scott Skinner, transcribed by Ann Letterman.
No, that's not the same one as I gave you.
When did you,
I sent it a little earlier. I'll send it again though. Hold on.
you did it yesterday?
No, I sent it just a little while ago. Let's see, I'll just.
Maybe it's an old one that I had. I don't know.
Now but the thing is that not everybody plays the lower octave of this tune. Some people find it. Now I just sent you the version there, Bill. Some people find that lower part kind of like, well, I mean, it is kind of tedious to go through the melody twice. Once lower and once middle. You know, like some people don't like doing that. So they just play the high part. And that's probably what Anne was doing. It's very common. But we're going to do the original because it's such good practice. You know, by the time you play this tune, you will have practiced A major right over the whole 4 strings of the fiddle, which I think is really, really good practice. Okay? I think Bill's got that now. It looks like he's got a version there, so that's good. Now, does anybody have any other questions before we tuck into the tune? Yes, Elizabeth?
Second line, second measure, going up to that fermata pause.
Yeah.
The A, how do you go from the low A to the high A without sounding the D string?
Oh, I have a little exercise that helps.
Oh,
That helps with that, yeah. So that's, where is that at there?
second line, second measure.
Second line. Second line. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's the. I'll show you the exercise. It is a bit of string crossing for sure. You know, and where you're skipping a string, and so I'll show you. It's a very simple little exercise, and it'll get you good at that type of thing, no matter where it lands on the fiddle. But you're right. That is going to be a trick that we'll work on for sure. Anybody else have any comments before we tuck in? Just looking at it there, you're going to see some dots, right? Some dots and some dashes there. And so the dots are the long ones. And then the ones with no dots or dashes, they're straight. So now you got to be really picky, you know, like to nobody ever plays it. Everybody plays it a million different ways. But if you were to play it as written, which I do suggest right now, it would be... You see how that works there with the dots and the dashes there? Long, short, 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 short. And then it's straight. See that? And you run into it a few more times too, like the third measure in. You see it again. Okay? And then you also see it the beginning of the second line. And then in the very last part, there's a little short long with the fermata, as Elizabeth was saying there. There's it's backwards, eh? You got the short note comes first. It's short long. See that? So you got a few little rhythms to deal with here, just a few. And like I said, nobody's really picky. Most people just play this tune like this. They just do the whole thing dotted. You know, but I'd like to stick to the music for an exercise, okay, so that you can differentiate them and be able to read them properly, okay? So now, let's see about this tune. So we got the low A pickup note, and then we got the C sharp, the stretch 3, and we come down the scale. And then you come down the scale, kind of, skipping D, from F. And then a great big long E. See that? Now you notice how the two E's in the music there, the two E's have a tie. It looks like a slur. The two notes have this kind of round line underneath of them. It's two of the same note. So what that's called is a tie. Okay? That ties the two notes together to be one big long note. I don't know why they just didn't write one big long note, but they often don't. I always thought it was because they want you to put the pulse in there. See that? Kind of speed your bow up a little bit. But a lot of people do not play them tied. A lot of people play them in two bows so that it sounds like this. Which is totally fine as well. It might be easier for you guys because that's a great big giant long note. And if you're not comfortable going right down to the end of your bow, you're going to run out of bow on that note. And so it might be better to do it in two bows. You see what you feel like is going to be better for you. Okay? Now, let's try this first phrase. We'll get our low A ready. There it is. Okay? And we're going to do that in an up bow. As we always do pickup notes, the next note is going to be a C and we come down the scale. Let's try it. Ready? And. And then F. C. Big long E. Okay, let's try it again. Same phrase. Ready? And. Okay, everybody getting that? One more time to be sure to be sure. Ready? And. Okay, good, good, good. Now the next phrase is almost exactly the same, but with a B. Okay, so let's try that with the B this time. Second phrase, all right? Same low A starter. Okay, we'll try that. Ready? And. F. B. Okay, let's try that one more time. Right, same low A. Ready? And. Okay, we getting that? We getting those two phrases? Okay, let's smash them together. Okay? Ready? Low A. And then it does it again. And then it changes, okay? So that's the first few phrases there. Now, the way that it changes is... That's all it is. Very simple. That's an E. Roll over to the A. And then an A. Which was what Elizabeth was talking about there. Going from the low A to the upper to the middle A. Without touching the D. Okay? Now, I'll show you the exercise that really helps with that. Okay? We'll have to pause the learning of the tune for a second, but I think it'll be really valuable. So, to get good at first of all, this helps all string changing. All string changing is improved by this technique. But this whole skipping a string thing, it's really specifically for that. And what you do is, this is how you practice it. You play down on the D, up on the E, with no A. Okay, now watch my right arm when I do it. You'll find that it's totally motionless. And it's just my hand doing the movement. See that? And I'm not dragging the bow over to the E. I'm putting it over there like this without dragging it. See that? And then up on the E. That's how I do that change. And then you can turn it around. You can go down on the E, up on the D. See that? Yeah. Now I see most people that are doing it are doing this. Or this. And watch me do it again. See that? Okay, now specifically for our tune, down on the G, up on the A. See that? And then again, you can turn it around, down on the A, up on the G. See that? I learned it in Suzuki String Camp, and it's what I show everybody that is having trouble with any kind of string crossing. Now, if you find that you can't do it without the funky chicken, if you find that every time you look, you're trying to do it, you look in the mirror and it's still happening, then you use the doorway. Watch this. Start out with the elbow, not against the doorway, but just in front of it, and you do your... See that? And now if I use my elbow, I'm going to get the bump again, or the rub against the doorway, and I'll know that it's this instead of this. Okay? And then if you really feel brave and extreme, then you do the wrist. Wrist against the doorway. See that? But I wouldn't suggest that for any of you guys at this point. Right now, elbow is going to be plenty, because the bow arm is big to small. We work on the whole thing, and then we kind of fine tune. So we work on moving just from the elbow down to do that, and after a while it'll just be your hand. That's your eventual goal, and that's the most efficient way to do it. Okay, so that exercise again is down on the D, up on the E, down on the G, up on the D, and you turn it, you do all the combinations, you know? You turn around the bowing. So go up on the D, down on the E, and same with the G and A. Or turn it around again. Do all the combinations that you can to get good at that little change. Okay, and then it'll be nice and clean, and you won't be hitting that middle string at all. Okay, does that sound good? Any questions about that exercise before we move on with the tune? Anything at all? Everybody able to kind of start doing it anyway? Now, try to be forgiving to yourselves. There's always a bit of funky chicken when you first start working on this. It's unavoidable. It's really, really hard to isolate that forearm and wrist. So if a little bit of funky chicken happens, it's okay. Eventually you don't want it there, but for now it might just, as if you keep it to a minimum, you're still going to make some progress. Okay? Anyway, so that's how you do that part. That's how you get good at that part. Now let's see what we got here. We got the long E, low A, middle A, and then the F sharp, and then we got this little lick here. So that's E to A, C, B, long one, A. Okay? Yeah, that's the ending. So let's try. So that's 3 measures from the end of the A part. Let's try that, okay, guys? So 3 measures from the end of the A part, E to low A. Ready, and... Let's do it again, right away. E to A. Okay, ready, slow. Everybody starting to get that? Kinda? No, not really? Let's do this. Let's start the third phrase, so. So basically like the second line. Let's do the whole second line of the tune, okay? I'm going to do the A pickup. Ready, and. Starting to get that? Look better. Let's do it again. So the low A and then the C. All right. Joanne, how you doing? You look like you're doing something.
I'm not doing very well at all.
Oh,
I'm struggling, first of all, because when I printed the music, my printer's not working very well. So it's
Oh.
all very faint. I can barely see it.
oh no.
And because I don't read music, this is the first time I've had these notes way below the lines.
Oh.
So I'm struggling. So could you just call out what the notes are?
First of all, before I do that, first of all, I'm gonna post this tune in the chat window. Okay, so you can see it really clearly.
And I do have it. I do have I can pull up the version you emailed us, but like I said, I'm not looking at it knowing what the note is because I have to figure out because I didn't read music before this.
Yeah, well, I can help with that too. So I'm going to put this up in the chat. Where's Hector? There he is. Okay. Because everybody in the orchestra tells me it's way more accessible when it's just right there on the chat to open it up. But anyway, so when you're looking at the notes below the staff, one thing to remember is that all of the notes below the staff belong to the G string. Okay? Every note on the G string has an extra line. They call those ledger lines. Okay? Those little extra lines. And my poor wife, she lives in a world of ledger lines, you know? Been playing the tuba. She's always kind of stuck between ranges because they're kind of fitting it in because it was only invented in 1840. And so when I look at her music, it's just like mind-boggling. They're either above the staff or below the staff. Tons of ledger lines, you know? And I asked her, how do you keep track of that? You don't count them. I said, do you? You know? Count them all? She's like, no, you get to know the pictures. You get to know what they look like. So, and I do the same thing with my fiddle. I have been since I was a little kid. And here's what it is. First of all, the G string, the lowest note on the fiddle, has got 2 lines, and the note hangs below it. Okay? That's the G string. Now, I don't think we hit the G string in this tune at all. No, we do not. The lowest note we play in this tune is the low A, which is 2 lines again, but the dot is now on a line. Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's your low A. Get to know that because there's no other fiddle note that looks like that on the entire fiddle. It's the lowest A that we have. See what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the very first step up from the bottom of the fiddle, unless you include A flat, which I do not. Okay, so that's the A. 2 lines, one of them is on a line. Okay, the B, that's your second finger, is 1 line, and it's hanging off of that line. See that? I'll show you it. I'll share my screen. Okay, oh, that's that. So you see this here? That the dot is hanging off of the bottom of that ledger line, and there's only 1 ledger line there. That's B. That's G2. Okay? Get to know that as well. A very important note, especially when you're playing Irish. And then the third finger is the C. And the way that I always distinguish the C is that it's Kermit the Frog's eye. Remember watching Sesame Street and Kermit the Frog? His eyes were black dots with a line through it. That's what the C is. So the high A and the low C are both Kermit the Frog's eye.
Got it.
So now, with that information, I've lessened the chances for you. You know what I mean? I've broken it down to only a few variables now. And so that means when you're reading it, it's going to be hopefully a lot easier to read because you don't have to kind of go through and spell it out. You just know that if there's two lines, if there's two ledger lines, it's either going to be open G or 1. Okay? If there's one ledger line, it's either going to be B or C, but it's not going to be C because C is Kermit the Frog's eye. And so if you see that, then you know what's going on. See what I mean? So now you really only have 3 choices. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier to read. The other thing that I always try to emphasize when you're trying to read music is remember this for the fiddle. If the note is on a line, it's going to be 1 or 3. Always in first position. 1 or 3. Can't be anything else. If the note is on a space, it's going to be 2, 4, but we don't use the 4 very much, so it's 2 and open. But I'm not going to demonstrate that because it would be very rude. So if it's on a line, it's odd number fingers. If it's on a space, it's even number fingers. Always in first position. So again, that lessens your variables. It gives you less guessing. You really only have 2 choices. One half of your hand or the other. So hopefully that'll make it easier to read those notes. Do you think?
Yeah, that will help. I just have to get used to it.
Now, when you do print it off, and I can do this tonight as well, because it is low and it's hard to read. Anything with ledger lines is harder to read. I'll write in the fingerings. You know what I mean? I'll print it off and I'll write in the fingerings and I'll send it all back to you. But if your printer was working, you could do that easily on your own. You know what I mean? But you could actually. You said it was just faint, so you still might be able to mark it in. But go ahead and mark it in. It's 1 3 2 1 2 1 3 1.
And can I just ask one other question?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the first note, which is low A, and then it looks like it's another low A.
Oh, that's a grace note.
Oh, so I don't have to worry about that?
Not right now. It would be nice, like to get all that stuff, all those grace notes in there. J. Scott Skinner was great about that. He wrote in all of his grace notes that he did,
Okay.
The thing is about grace notes, anything ornamental, is that it's your own personal choice. And that's why, Buddy McMaster is set apart from Natalie. Even though they learned from each other, they're still different in that way. They make different choices with ornaments. But for a starter, J. Scott Skinner was great because he wrote in his ornaments. And for people that are learning, it's a great way to get into it. But let's leave it for now. But I will show you what it sounds like when I do play the grace note, just so you understand what's going on. See that? Now I call that the lazy bow technique. It's just where your bow is playing that low A, and it knows that it needs to go to the C, but it just kind of hangs around the A for a little bit first. See that? And each of these grace notes, each of these grace notes do exactly the same thing.
So when they're miniature, they're a grace note.
That's correct. And if you look really close, and you can't really see it on this score, there'll be a little slash through them usually. Little slash.
Oh, okay.
So they're miniature notes, they have a little slash, and they're usually slurred into the melody note that they want to be the ornament of.
Okay, that's going to help me knowing that.
Oh, good, good. I forgot to mention that. It might be really confusing if you're just kind of looking at it, a little bit blinding. So just disregard those grace notes for now. Just remember that the grace notes are just a little bit more of the note that you just played.
Okay,
Okay?
got it. Yep.
All right. Those are great questions, Joanne, and I'm sure everybody benefited from that because when I was explaining the fingerings, everybody was writing. So that's really good. Okay? Now, anybody else have any of those type of questions? No? Heather, you unmuted yourself. It made me think you want to ask me something. Oh, okay. Oh, now you're muted.
Didn't mean to, but I think it's really great that the Grace Notes are there. It's like this gateway to Grace Notes so that you can see it.
Absolutely.
It's great.
And also, what was clever about him is that he didn't include them all. Just a few key ones to get you started. Because the J. Scott Skinner book, The Scottish Violinist, was actually meant as a beginner method book. I mean, I don't think it was a very good beginner method book. It gets really hard really fast. But it's got the good beginner tunes in there. That's the most important. And I love this approach. And he was so good at the time, he was probably the best kind of typesetting book you could buy. It's so clear and nice and easy to read. Okay? Back in the turn of the century. So let's do it. Let's try the whole A part, right from one end to the other. Okay? Everybody muted? Yeah. Oh, lovely. New strings. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let's do it all again. Okay. Everybody feeling okay about that? Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So now the second part, like I said, is exactly the same as the first part except starting on the A string instead of the low A. Okay? So we got same idea. A, C, down we go. F, E, C, E. So let's try that opening phrase there, guys, together. Nice and slow. Up bow on that open A and then the C down bow. Ready, and... Geez, everybody looked like they got right through that, except for Lena, who was absent. How did everybody do with that upper part? Sorry?
I can't do like two notes without having them written down. So I'm writing them down.
You mean the fingerings?
Yeah, I have to write in fingerings. I don't like have no I don't know the letters at all.
Are you getting to know them a little bit? Like, because I keep screaming them out and go banging on about it like crazy.
Honestly, no. And I have had this problem with music reading before. Like, I've just... Reading music is like impossible. But fingerings, no problem. If they're in, I can do it. But...
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do two things here, okay? First of all, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through the tune, and I'm going to tell you guys what fingers are where, so you can just write them in right now, Okay, that's the first thing, because it'll be educational too. You'll see how the scales go up, and you'll be able to figure it out on your own. The other thing is, if you're still having this problem consistently, I suggest starting with your open strings. Find your open strings on the staff, okay, and make them your home base, because all of the other notes just kind of lead up to the open strings or lead down to the next open string, you know, and there's only 3 notes between them. So if you can really solidly find those open strings, then you're going to be able to read before you know it, okay? So there are, like, if I think about the Suzuki book, for the first couple of pages, they just make you play the open strings as you see them, you know, one after the other. Might be a good idea. Look on the internet, see if you can find some open string exercises, all right? Oliver Schroer, the great fiddle player from Ontario here, he had a tune that the kids would do called Open String Blues. And so he'd have the kids going... That's a blues progression, right? And he'd be going... And the kids, he would just say to the kids, no, just keep reading those open strings just as you see them. Just keep doing it and it'll all make sense. And my friend Emmeline, who taught for him for years, said that it would take a couple of weeks and then the kids would just be grooving. They'd be doing their open string parts and Ollie would be kind of improvising all over the place and it'd be really great fun. But that's how he got them to learn those open strings on the staff. 4 notes. That's all it is. All right? So that's what I suggest. Now, let's take a look at my screen and I will tell you what's going on. So everybody see this here? So I got the low A, that's G1. Okay? All this crap is on the G string here except for a couple of the notes. So I don't know if you want to put the letter before every one, but we got G1, G3, G2, G1, D2, D1, G3. Okay? And then we got D1, and it's the great big long D1 there. And then you go down, this is the G1. Okay? And then we got C, that's the 3, G3, G2, G1, D2, D1, G3, G2, and another G2. And then we got the low A again, G1. 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, just like the bar above it. And then a great big long D1, G1, open A, D2. And then we got D1, G1, G3, G2, G1. And there's 2 more of those. See that? Those are tied together. Okay, has everybody got the first part okay? Okay, so going over to the B part. Open A. A2, A1, open A. E1, open E, A2, open E. And another open E. Open A. A2, A1, open A, E1, open E, A2, A1, A1, open A, A2, A1, open A, E1, open E, A2, open E, open A, E3, E1, open E, open A, A2, A1, A, A. And the 2 of them are tied together. Second part. A2 is the pickup note this time. Okay, that one there. It's a little A2. a quick one, a sharp one. And then we got E1, E2, E1, E3, 2, 1. Okay? And then this bar here is two great big open E's. And then the A2 pickup again. A2 right there. E1, open E, A2, open E, open A, A2, 1, 1, 2, A2 there. Another A2 pickup note. Then we go back up to the E1, E2, E1, E3, E2, E1, little scale down, open E, open A, A1, A2, E3 with the fermata. Okay? And then E1, open E, open A, A2, A1, open A, open A, open A, and the last two are tied. All right, now how did I do there, guys? Did everybody get all that?
I think so.
Okay, that's good. So, and you start, does it help to understand how it works? You know, you want to spot the scales too. Once you get your open strings really solid, the next thing you do is you spot the scales. You try to, my dad's teacher used to say it really funny. He used to say, reading music on the fiddle is easy. As the dots go up, your fingers go on the fiddle. As the dots go down, your fingers come off the fiddle. But it's true. It is true, actually. But anyway, that was his little joke. But it is true. It's good to remember. So you spot those little scales up and down. If it skips a note, it might skip a note. But if it's for the most part a scale, then you kind of know what to do already without having to read the whole thing. Okay? Now, why don't we do the A part followed by the B part with our new fingering? Before we do that, anybody have any questions, or did I go too fast? You still need a few letters or numbers in there anywhere. No, good? Okay, let's try it. What's the worst that can happen, right? Oh, God. Okay, I'm so glad to hear my back is on the mend, like there's an end to it. It's really good. Okay, so I'm going to read it just to make sure I don't make any rhythmic mistakes. And we're going to play the A part and the B part of Hector the Hero. Okay. Up bow for the pickup. Ready, G1. Second part. How we doing, everyone? Anybody having any difficulty playing those two parts? Joanne, did you do good that time?
better.
Okay, and you're able to kind of get the right fingers down for the most part?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, good. That's all anybody can hope for. How about anybody else? What about you, Lena? Better now that you got some fingerings in there?
Yep, it's totally fine now.
Okay, now keep looking at both, eh? Look, go ahead and use the fingers, but keep looking at that note. You'll get a sense of it after a while. Okay, let's do it again. Anybody else have any issues, questions, comments, or anything like that before we do it a few more times? Okay, let's just do it. So, A part and B part, one more time. There's your A if everybody's looking for one. An honest A. Okay. Ready, and... Okay, bows look like they're moving pretty good. Anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns? No? Okay. Yes, Heather.
I can see which notes are the grace notes, but I think I'm playing the wrong notes in the part A. Between the first note and, let's say, I don't know, the 8th note in there, I seem to be hitting all the wrong notes.
Can you try playing a little bit of it for me and I can see what's going on?
Okay. I'll ignore what I think are the grace notes.
Okay.
And my G3 sounds way off, and I don't know why.
Okay. Okay, so you're having an intonation problem. So the third fingers have got to be all the way up to C sharp. Look how far that is. See, there's a full step between each finger. So it would be past your piece of tape. That's her. That's the C sharp. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll take care of most of your problems there, Heather. Okay.
That's not the same for the D, the D string.
It is in this key. Yes, it is. But I don't think we use any of those notes in this tune. No, we don't. We don't play D3 even once in this tune. The only one you're playing is G3, and it's stretched. It is really stretched. That's why we practiced A major before playing this tune, because that is the hardest part of A major is that C sharp.
So that makes sense, because whenever I play the A major, it's not sounding right.
Oh, yeah. So with A major, for the lower part of A major, it's full steps between each finger for the G and the D, and then up on A and E, it's regular first position. Okay? So that's going to help a lot. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad that I was able to point that out. Anybody else having any bits like that or pieces or anything that's confusing or anything at all? Okay, so let's tuck into the third part, shall we? It's got a C pickup note, so it's a little different than what we've been doing so far. So far it's all been A's, but now it's a C. And the first note of this part is an F. That's 1, 2, 1. Okay, so it sounds like this. Let's just play that much. Okay, so A2 over to E1. And we're going to do the A2 on an up bow. Ready, and 3. Great big long E. Okay, let's try that again, same thing. Ready, and one more time. Now there's not as much repetition in this part to rely on as the other ones. That's the problem. It's the kind of the hardest part. So let's do each phrase a few times, okay? One more time with that first phrase. C to the F. Ready, and okay, that looked really good. The next phrase is the same C pickup, same going to the F, but then E, C, E, A, C, and then a B. Okay, the B, let it leave you hanging note. Okay, so we're going to try that middle phrase there. C and then E1. So A2 and then E1. A2 is on the up bow. Ready, go. C, 1, E, C, E, A, 2, 1. Let's try that again, okay? C and then F. Ready, and C, F, E, C, E, A, C, B. B. One more time, swear to God. Ready, C. Okay, we getting that? It's a little trickier. So let's do those two phrases now. So this is going to be we're going to start at the second last line. A2 to E1. Ready, slow. Now the next phrase is the same as the first. But then it goes all to hell with a great big long ending and a fermata and everything like that. It's nuts. Okay? It's where J. Scott Skinner goes off the deep end. So, I'm going to play the last 3 bars. This is how it sounds. Now you might recognize the last 2 bars as being the ending of the B part. So that's convenient. But we still have this middle bar to deal with. So that's E, A, B, really short C, A. See that? And that's where you got the big pause. And if you're Scottish, you take good advantage of that pause. And you make sure everybody's got their eyes misting before you even carry on with one note. You know what I mean? You really hold her out. You make it, my dad used to say, you want to make it so that it makes this, the old Scottish lady go. Anyway, so let's try that. Let's try the last 3 bars. E, A, 1, 2, A. Nice big long high A. Okay? E and then A. Ready? And. Okay, let's do that again a few times, guys. Ready? And. One more. Ready? And. All right, how are we doing with the ending? Getting it okay? Okay, so now let's try the whole C part, okay? So that's the last 2 lines. Okay, nice and easy. Up bow on the A2 and then E1. Ready, and. How'd that feel? Everybody looks wonderful. Let's do it again right away. A2 and then E1. Ready? And. Looking good, looking good. Any problems or questions before we attempt the whole thing? We're going to have a little breather too. A little roll out of the shoulders. Anything at all? Any questions or problems or things that you can't get before we try the whole thing? This tune always makes me think of my Uncle Hector. He was such a funny old guy. He was a priest. Very well-known, well-loved priest there in Antigonish County where he spent most of his life. And he had a dog called Sandy. And he loved Sandy like you wouldn't believe. Sandy was his best buddy. Like they went everywhere together, did everything together. And when he finally bought a new car, I'll never forget it. It was like the late 90s, and he finally bought a new car. He had an ex-cop car. I loved it. When I was a kid, it still had a searchlight on it. Like, you know, one of those lights for shining it. And he used to do it to people just for the laugh. Just like shine it at them. They'd think they were going to get pulled over by the cops or something. He was a hilarious old guy. But he finally bought a new car, and it was a station wagon. And when we traded in the old car, it was so covered in Sandy's hair that you wouldn't believe it. It was caked with dog hair all over. And so the salesman that sold him the car said, you know, Father Hector, like, they got these things now, these cages that you put across the back of the car, and it keeps the dog from getting all over your whole car. And he was like, oh, that's wonderful. What a great idea. Yes, put that in. And so when they went to put it in, he goes, what are you doing? And the guy goes, well, I'm putting it behind the back seats. And he says, no, put it behind the front seats. You know, and the mechanic says, well, but Father, that means that the dog is going to be in most of the car. And he goes, no, 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 he's going to be right here with me. The back is for the people. And he was. Sandy rode up there with him right until the end. That was it. He was the passenger, and the people were in the back. Anyway, shall we try the whole thing? Have I distracted you enough? You're fresh now and cheerful, ready to give it a big go. Okay, from the top. Okay, ready, slow. well, nobody stopped or started crying or anything like that. You know, like in a bad way. So I guess that went pretty good. How are we feeling about Hector the Hero? Anybody having anything that they can't do still, or any problem areas, or anything they can't read or understand? No? That's wonderful. Excellent. So keep working on that there, guys. We'll revisit it just before we finish there. We'll play it a couple of more times, but let's leave it for now, okay? You can see now what good practice this tune is in the key of A, eh? You get this one in tune, you're going to feel good about that key. Everything you do in that key from now on is going to be better, okay? Just as a little bit of careful, kind of mindful consideration of it with Hector the Hero. And it's such a beautiful tune. That's the thing. It's just a gorgeous tune, so I'm sure it'll be in your head now. Now, what were the jigs? Yes, Elaine.
Can I ask a quick question? On those tied notes, at the end of the lines there, you play it with a down bow and then an up, or with two bows?
With two bows. Well, no, I mean, down bow and an up is both two bows.
Yeah, but that's basically what I mean. Yeah.
One bow or two bows. I tend to do them in two bows.
Okay.
So that basically means that I disregard that tie.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's because, like, well, I'll let you decide. Like, here it is. Here it is without the tie. So. Okay, here it is with the tie. See that? So they're both very nice. It really, the problem that I foresee, that I've been teaching this tune for a long time, and the problem that people seem to have is that they just can't seem to hold out the bow for all that length of time. They run out of bow, which means the terrible danger of putting the brakes on, which, as you know, Elaine, I hate. I hate putting the brakes on the bow. None of you guys should ever put the brakes on the bow at this point, you know? So that's why I find two bows takes the pressure off a little bit. And I also find that if you do two bows for a while, you might find one day that you can do the one bow for the whole length, and it'd be great. See what I mean? Good question, though. Very good question. Anything else? Any other confusing bits or things I'm doing weird? Anything like that? No? Okay, let's get out the jigs. Let's practice our jigs from last time. What was it now? Somebody's going to have to remind me. My memory's so bad. I teach too many people, I think. Anybody remind me what jigs we were doing? It was two of them, I think.
We did John Ryan's not too long ago.
We did John Allen's jig. That's right.
John Ryan.
John Ryan is a polka.
Oh, pardon me.
And so we did John Allen's jig. And we did the Kesh. Okay. So, and that's a great change. G to A. That's lovely. So we'll do them together. Okay. So we'll play two Keshes and two John Allen's jigses. All right. Not too fast. Ugh. I keep shedding paper towel because this is my lumbar log, is a roll of paper towel. But paper towel keeps coming off of it. It's getting smaller and smaller as I use it. Okay. Okay, so Kesh jig. Now I'm trying to think of how fast we had it. Do you think that's a doable speed? Let's try it and see what happens, okay? 1, 2, 3, and... Here we go. One more. Okay, now I'm encouraged because nobody stopped. Heather stopped a couple times, but I was watching your fingers, Heather. You weren't actually doing anything wrong, eh? The only thing that was happening with you, like I was watching your fingers close, is that you just got ahead a couple times. Which means that you were playing the right notes just a little bit faster than us. And it's very common.
Behind.
What's that?
I was behind.
You were
I turn the volume down and then I go at my own pace, so I never actually catch up. So it looked like I was ahead.
I would bet that you were actually ahead, because 9 times out of 10 when beginners think that the problem is they can't keep up, it's actually because they're cutting long notes off short. That's the main problem. And there's some orchestra members here that will remember when we put together the big compilation video for Christmas, and that was what we discovered for 90% of the people who thought that they couldn't keep up. I showed them the video that we made together with people finishing before each other, and I was the last one to finish. And there was one lady that was finished first, and she looked so pleased with herself. She was like finished, and she shut off her video, and then she disappeared, and everybody kept going for a while. So, and what it comes from is not holding those long notes out long enough. This tune is a prime example. Da 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 da. If you don't hold that E long enough, you start the 1 through open 3, 1 open 3 before everybody else. And it can make you feel like you're behind because of the repetition is the thing, right? It has a similar effect. Being ahead and being behind sounds and feels similar. But I have discovered... Oh, yeah. Yeah! Elaine's rocking it. But I have discovered that for 9 times out of 10, it's actually the jumping ahead problem. Which, when you think about it, it makes sense because you're trying to hold those notes out their full length. Nobody ever wants to. Everybody's kind of like, and they move on before the note is over. See what I mean? So anyway, we'll work more on it there, Heather. But like I said, I was watching your fingers and I didn't see anything going wrong. Like I saw all the kind of the right finger moves. It was just that you were kind of set a little bit apart from us. So easy to fix. And everybody else seemed to be kind of very similar, either like playing along fine or having similar problems. How did you all feel about those jigs? Was it okay? Yeah. Did anybody feel like it was way too slow? A bit. Yeah, a bit. And you see, that kind of contributes to what I was talking about with Heather. It gets, sometimes slower is harder. You know what I mean? Now, let's try an experiment. Let's try them faster. Just see what goes wrong. What might go wrong, right? What's the worst that can happen? That's what my mom used to say when I got in trouble with my dad. She used to say, what's the worst that can happen? He can't kill you. And I was thinking, oh, I don't know. Okay, so a little bit faster, come what may. Ready, and... any survivors? Yeah? It looked pretty good. It looked pretty, not too bad. Like, might be a few scrapes and scratches, but I think everybody survived pretty well. So it's doable. So we'll keep working on the tempo of those tunes, okay? And we'll get it up so it's comfy. Was that a little better for you, Heather? Did that work a little better? Like, did you find it went along a little easier?
Well, I hadn't given much thought to those notes that you're supposed to hold a little longer in
Yeah.
John Allen's jig.
Okay.
So now I'll pay more attention to that.
Oh, good. Okay, that's going to help a lot.
I was actually rushing through those notes.
Right. Very common problem. Yeah. Okay, good. Good to hear it. Okay, so now just before we go, let's review Hector the Hero a couple more times, and then that'll be it for tonight. And we'll learn the Rowan Tree next time. Okay? If we're up for it, everybody can let me know. I don't like to move through material too quickly, because that's one thing I find has been the downfall of many fiddle classes and beginner groups and stuff, is that you come out with, say, like 25 tunes that you can't really play any of them. So I want to make sure that what we learned, we got solid. So I'm not fussed. If you want to work on everything more and not keep learning tunes, I am okay with that. So we'll see how everybody's feeling next week. And if we get everything kind of solid, we'll move on. We'll learn more music, okay? But let's do Hector the Hero now. It's such good practice and always makes me think of my uncle, which is a great thing. We'll try to think of more of his hilarious stories there for next time. How come I can't drag this out? There we go. Okay. All right, here we go. Well, I'll tell you this one quick one. So I married a Protestant in Antigonish. My wife is Protestant. And so we had to have a mixed marriage. It's hilarious. Both kinds of white people had to mix together. So anyway, my uncle married us. And so did at the time, the moderator of the United Church of Canada. His name was Peter Short. Great guy. And a good friend of my wife's family. So it was a kind of a dual ceremony. He did the homily. My uncle did most of the stuff, but he did a few things as well. It was like a dual ceremony. And then afterwards, I don't know where my uncle got the cigarettes from, but he went up to him and he got somebody to snap a picture of the minister or the priest lighting the smoke after the wedding was over. Okay, so we'll think of that while we're playing this here. Okay, here we go. Ready, and... Okay, there you go, guys. You got Hector. Okay, and when you're practicing it, make sure, like, keep your tuner on, keep some idea of your intonation, because that's half of the reason we're doing this, is to get really good at the key of A. Okay? Any other questions before we sign off? Anything at all? Anything? Alrighty, well, I'm going to go for a hernia walk, and you should too there, Elizabeth, and we'll see you guys there next Tuesday. Okay?
Night, Dad.
Okay, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Nighty night.